Alrighty, folks, we are live. It is Sunday morning, very early, or Saturday evening, depending on where you are right now watching in your time zone. But I do want to discuss who is going to receiving state stimulus checks very, very soon because there's going to be a lot of new checks coming out and going out very soon. And I think a lot of you are going to be surprised by these states. However, they are on the way, and many people don't think of them as necessarily states that would give state stimulus checks. But I think you'll be surprised at a couple of them. But there are new checks on the way. I'm going to be discussing exactly what checks you can expect to receive. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you on. Welcome aboard. Make sure you smash the like button. I'd appreciate that. And also let us know if you're tuning in from a city, state, location. Hello, Terry. Always good to have you on. Fantastic. And so in this live stream, we are talking about stimulus checks. We were talking about which states are going out this week and next week, and what checks you can expect to receive very, very soon. So with that being said, guys, we're very close to 20,000 subscribers. We're actually just less than 100 away. We're on the road, and I think we could probably hit it I think we could do it by next week, guys. I think by the end of next week, we could probably hit 20,000 subscribers, in which case we will do another cash giveaway where we give away double the amount of cash that we gave away 10K. So make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. Also, of course, if you smash the like button and we get to 500 likes, we will do a cash giveaway where we give away $100 to a few of you lucky subscribers. With that being said, guys, let's get started and dive right into today's video. We're going to be talking all about state stimulus checks. So exactly who can expect to receive a check very soon. Again, there are several states that are starting to send tax rebates by early next week. They're also sending stimulus payments that are aimed to help residents in order to get by during these trying, troubled times. There are millions of taxpayers in this particular state who are getting a $750 refund check this Friday, or at least by this Friday, so maybe even before then. California will also start getting the middle class tax refund next week as well. People from the state of Virginia are getting a $250 rebate by Halloween as a deposit or via a printed check. Payments are also heading out to people in the states of Hawaii and Indiana during the month of October, but there are more states that are getting some sort of relief. Colorado is the state that is getting that $750 refund check by Friday. Good to have you guys on. Good to have you guys on. Awesome. So how many states in total are getting a stimulus payment? Well, it's actually a grand total of 18 states across the United States of America. They're getting some sort of stimulus payment or tax rebate. Depending on the states, the conditions and amount will vary and change. These states are, drumroll please, California, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. Amounts range between $250, which tends to be for individual taxpayers, to $650 to $750 for small families, and up to $1,050 for large families with at least 3 children. All of these states are getting payments in October. Check your local institutions for the exact date and details. Now, all the families who are eligible for these payments need to be low-income families who are not earning above $125 on average, rather $125,000. This varies. In some states it's lower, some states it's higher. Now, joint taxpayers that are filing jointly cannot earn more than $250,000 in most cases. However, these amounts may also vary depending on the state. What matters is that these 18 states are getting some sort of relief, one way or another. Hello, Kevin. Good to have you guys on. Hello, Terry. Awesome. Yeah, unfortunately, that state, I believe, is left out. However, I did hear some rumors that, potentially the governor is thinking of doing something. You definitely do a due diligence and read more about that. What about SSI for California? Well, definitely check to make sure that you are eligible for the California state stimulus check. California is one of the states that we named. Now, granted, you do have to qualify and meet certain criteria, so definitely check and do a due diligence on that as well. I'm not going to go through every state, of course. We've done in other videos. This live is just talking about which states can potentially receive checks soon. Now, what's also interesting here is that there is speculation. There are certainly theories from economists and experts and advocacy groups that potentially another check may be considered, especially with the midterm election approaching. So Obviously, we have the state stimulus checks that are going out to taxpayers and individuals to help them cope with inflation. Some economists warn that the payments will do little to alleviate the pain of rising costs and could further fuel inflation, but some are actually projecting that we could actually receive another stimulus check. In some sense, when you look at it, nearly half the states have done, or at least I think more than half the states at this point have done some of the stimulus. And so we are actually approaching what would essentially be a national stimulus check, just not necessarily at the federal government level, but rather all states. Now, obviously, if we had to get all the states on board, we would, in fact, have to have all the governors on board. That's going to be hard to twist some of those governors' arms and, essentially get them to approve what could be $1 million in some cases, depending on the population for their residents. And so that is why you're not seeing every state provide it, but a federal check may still be in the cards depending on how inflation does. And if the Fed is projecting a recession, I'm sure that, if we do enter recession, which some people say we're actually already in, we are already in a technical recession, according to some. But of course, the White House doesn't want to say it. They said that the definition essentially changed because of who's president, and they don't want to call it a recession. They want to use the R word. We talked about that in previous videos. But if we do enter a recession and everyone agrees, including the president and the White House, then I think you might see some consideration, especially if Biden, continues and he doesn't pull out and he continues to be president. Let's say the recession starts to come in the year 2024, maybe 2023, and starts to cool down, and then 2024 ramps up again because maybe interest rates start to drop, and then we start to see demand increase and people start to invest more and take out more credit and loans, and we're basically back to where we started. I think we're gonna eventually see a recession in that case, and so we do have to be careful and understand that a recession could definitely be likely, and therefore a federal check could certainly be on the way. Well, let's see. It could certainly be in the next week or two, as far as that COLA raise. But we're talking about stimulus in this video, so we can definitely save Social Security for another time, another place. But yeah, just so you understand, guys, you may actually believe that these are stimulus checks in some cases, and you're upset because why are these states doing it, but we're not. But we have to understand is in other places like Colorado, states are required by law to return excess state revenue to the taxpayers. That is actually something that is written in the state constitution. So tax rebates that went out this summer are worth $750 for individual tax filers and $1,500 for joint filers. But they were labeled as a cashback program because Democratic Governor Jared Polis said the state moved up, sending the refunds out by about a year because they need it now, according to an interview with Colorado Public Radio in August. But again, that was a cashback program where, because of the excess state revenue from the revenue that the state generates by tax, actually that goes back to the taxpayers. So what they do is they basically send out this money as a quote unquote stimulus payment, but it's actually just part of the state tax revenue. So that is just something you guys have to understand, is that let's say you live in a state that's right next to Colorado or right near it. Say, why is Colorado getting it but we're not? Well, folks, it's because they had excess state revenue, and it's written in their state constitution that they have to give that money back to the taxpayer, of course. And there's certain criteria, so it's not like everyone gets them. The wealthy doesn't get these checks. Only lower income, middle income people get them. Now, families struggling to pay for gas and every other day costs, having some extra cash could certainly offer some short-term relief. But economists argue that putting more money into the economy can drive up demand and prices for everyone. So politically, I think Biden might do it, but economically, it may not be the best idea, especially since we've already, printed trillions of dollars with our last few stimulus packages. Now, handing out dollars in an inflationary environment will only make matters worse by driving up prices further, according to Beth Akers. This is a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. She wrote that in a blog post last week. On Friday, the Federal Reserve's preferred measure of inflation showed that prices are still rising, up 6.2% in August compared to a year ago. The central bank is tasked with keeping inflation under control, which it can do by raising interest rates. We have seen some painful interest rates, especially when I'm looking for a mortgage for next property. I've been quoted numbers that I couldn't imagine I've been quoted if you just asked me a year ago. Obviously, these higher rates can create economic pain for Americans by making it more expensive to borrow money. And that's just one way that inflation and a recession could hurt Americans, obviously. The Fed raised its benchmark rate by 0.75 of a percentage point for the third time in a row earlier this month. And that was just earlier this month alone. Jason Furman, who is a Harvard professor and former economic advisor in the Obama administration, has also argued that the payments in California, one of the biggest programs, could contribute to rising prices. And so even the state stimulus checks could have an impact on the economy, not just federally. Uh, but certainly state checks are also playing a role in this inflation, according to this Harvard professor and economic advisor. But politicians are obviously eager to send out the payments rather, as a helpful benefit to taxpayers in a midterm election year. So again, politically, politicians probably wouldn't have a problem sending these checks out, but economically, it may not be so healthy for the economy. Stimulus checks are more of a tool to push a political agenda, as opposed to keeping the economy in check. So the checks could fuel inflation further, and it could put state budgets, rather, many of which are seeing tax revenue growth slowing, in a precarious position for this coming year. That's what's happening. That's what we know, guys. So I hope you understand that, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, smash the like button. I appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed and the notifications turned on. Make sure that you do get some free stocks down below, and connect with me using the social links in the description. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care for now.